know Mr. Defoe talks about this, but I brought 20 pocket U.S. and state of Minnesota Constitution because they're important to understand. You know what we're doing here, I want to believe, is education. And a well-educated voter is more prone to make more appropriate choices in selecting candidates. I can say this for my generation, that we were cheated out of our public education on how the lands actually exchanged from our people's hands to the federal government. And it's kind of like an inconvenient truth on what actually happened, which was deceit, genocide, ethnocide, and all those other types of words. For years I've carried around pocket U.S. constitutions, and as a veteran, when I got swore into the United States Navy in 1977, they made me hold my right hand up and swear an oath to support and protect the United States Constitution, and then said it did not apply to me because I would now fall under the military UCMJ uniform military justice or whatever it was called, and but they explained it to me, so the Constitution didn't apply. I will go to my grave now as an adult, knowing that the Constitution does not apply to me. If the Constitution applied to me, President Johnson's 1964 Civil Rights Act would apply. But it didn't, because Congress in 1968 had to create the American Indian Civil Rights Act. President Nixon had to sign into law the Indian Education and Indian Self-Determination Acts in 1972. If I was really a citizen, the Bill of Rights would have already gave those people those rights. One of the most important things in my lifetime for me to share and to understand is the two acts that happened in 1978. The first act was the American Indian Religious Freedom Act. That tells you that something before that was illegal. The ability to get food, the ability to do those things that for countless generations worked and got us here today, whether it was the cultural teachings, the Minnow Bimadiziwin, those things that to create a good life and knowing our place in creation, were quite frankly outlawed. And those that had the ability to share those types of teachings were the ones targeted for Opaming, Aguaching, the sanitariums, their children indoctrinated in the boarding schools. And it was, quite frankly, to rid the influence of their parents and communities to those children. And when they came back, they were different, had to get reacculturated, but most times their families. I know my grandfather's family in Sawyer were pretty much all gone when he came home in 1924, and the same with Dale Green Sr. So the reacculturation, relearning the language and everything, happened. So when I look back, and I'm looking at the 1978 American Indian Religious Freedom Act, the U.S. Constitution didn't apply. I will challenge anyone to tell me about the Asian Child Welfare Act,
Right.
the Hispanic Child Welfare Act, the Black Child Welfare Act. They may have, states may have different policies on those, but we're still the only people that have the Indian Child Welfare Act, because we don't have those Bill of Rights protections. If we were truly citizens, in 1924, the legislation I just talked about there would have been no need to create those. Now, to vote, I think it's important, and why I carry these pocket constitutions is I think there has to be a constitutional amendment taking out Article 1, Section 2 on who can be selected to the House of Representatives. And it says who can be selected to the House of Representatives, and it has the weird language that a black person's considered 1/3 of a human being. And but the really, really cool words is excluding Indians not taxed in Article 1, Section 2. So we're written out of the Constitution being applied to us on who, if we can select representatives. And to me, that's just. To me, the reason that's written in there, when 13 colonies were rebelling, they came to the indigenous communities and said, we need your help. And if you're not going to give us your help, we need your non-participation in siding with the British. And so I believe, and Mr. Defoe has said it himself, we gave international recognition to those rebellious colonies. Before they were in the United States, they used those international agreements to make treaties with France and whatnot. So when they're drafting the United States Constitution, they couldn't include those indigenous people in selecting, being counted as citizens to select for representatives to Congress, because we were nationals of our own nations on our own land. So the institutional memory continued toward when the 14th Amendment was created for the purpose of making blacks citizens of the states they were born in. They had an institutional memory, and it's in this document in the 14th Amendment, Section 2, excluding Indians not taxed. So the reason that the 1924 American Indian Citizenship Act didn't hold is because there's constitutional language that says we are to be excluded, because the tax-exempt Indians are the ones that made treaty agreements with the United States as their own people. So the difference between us and black people, and I don't mean this derogatory at all, but they want equal rights and have a spot sitting at the table, and we just want our rights as a distinct people. And for people to vote, I would hope that there's a better understanding of why we have that U.S. constitutional language. I personally think there has to be a U.S. constitutional amendment taking those things out of the Constitution, excluding Indians not taxed. But at the same time, I think they need to ask the indigenous people, with our history of being mistreated and whatnot, if we really want to be considered citizens. And some of us may say no because of how you treated us. Or one of the other things could be said is, this is the greatest nation in the world. State of Minnesota is the greatest state in the Union, but it became at a great cost that we're still paying with. Our communities have been decimated. the disparities of the treatment in the courts and jails, the disparities in out-of-home forced removals continues today. We need those things, understood, talked about prior to the constitutional amendment, and there should be 2 votes, if not 3 votes, on who really. I often find it difficult to be a proud United States veteran. I've struggled with that for years, because I don't know if given a choice, if I really have the right to be proud what the United States has done to those that came before me. That doesn't mean I won't fight for this land or do those other things. I just have this different concept. All right, let's have a different reconciliation here, because we're still paying for it with our land, our resources, and maybe even just a simple acknowledgement that the people, the iron ore, the resources made Minnesota great, Wisconsin, Michigan, Canada, and because of those resources, America was able to win in the Spanish-American War, the World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and take that oil from Iraq, Iran, and Kuwait. So